I'm Penny. When I first met her, I was still running my own company. I'd been running my own company since 2001. And I work in the gig economy. So I have written a book around culture, and I design and deliver. I still do it, but not for myself anymore. I was designing and delivering leadership programs around Asia Pac, and also doing keynotes and masterclasses at conferences. So COVID killed all of that. In the space of 72 hours, I lost about $250,000 worth of business. So I limped along for a bit as people were pivoting to online, but the financial hit was just too severe. I'm now single, so just me. I was at the point where I just said, I can't see any way through this. So yeah, it was a terrible time. And I was thinking I was going to have to sell my house. Didn't know what I was going to do. I've got 2 small dogs, etc. And I spoke with Kitty. She said, we connected. We spoke on, it was a Saturday, and I remember being quite stunned that she worked on the weekends. And straight away, I just thought, wow, this is a very genuine person. And very, very stressful, because you're basically handing over control of your finances to people that you don't, and they were totally open about that. And Kitty and Maxine, who I deal with, they said, look, we get it. We understand it's really difficult. People often feel very ashamed, which I did, around their situation with their finances. As I said to someone, like most people, when literally in the space of 72 hours, I lost $250,000. And unlike, I don't know whether you're in your own business, but if you lose business in normal times, you can go, whoa, that's really bad. Right, okay, get on to business development. There was nothing I could do. And that's what impacted people like me working for themselves, working in the gig economy, etc. I'm stunned at what Kitty and Jack and Maxine and so on have been able to negotiate. And as I said, lid needs to be lifted on all of the things that the banks don't tell you they will be willing to do to help people out. My confidence is, way certainly a lot better than it was. And I guess it's that sense, I guess the thing with Dead Angels is, particularly me being single, is feeling that someone's got your back. It's hard for everyone. I totally get that. It's especially hard if you're on your own. It's extremely difficult. And to know that someone's got your back, and got you back in a legal and a rational and logical way, is a mighty fine thing, because that's when people are in difficult circumstances of any kind, and I've worked in that space, that's what they need. When people are going through difficult times, it gives them time to regroup, etc. Things that I know I would have just given up, because I did not have the mental energy or resilience any longer to fight. You're fighting for survival. I was fighting for survival at that point. And one of the things that happened that not really knocked me back down was, I have a car that I bought through my business. And I've always owned cars for my business. I always get 5-year leases, and I never have a balloon payment. I pay it off. So when the 5 years comes, car is paid off, and then I can trade up to a new one. So one of the questions that Kitty needed me to answer was, how many payments left? I said, I think there's only 2 left. I'll give them a call. And by the time I called them, there was only 1 payment left. So it should have been about $600. So I made this phone call. This went, She said, oh, yes, and your balloon payment's like $6,500. And I said, I beg your pardon? I don't have a balloon loan. And anyway, I won't spare you the details. Thank God I'd kept the email trail from this dingbat that offered me this $750,000, because there is constant reference to me saying, this is what I want. I don't want a balloon payment. And the day that he sent me the paperwork to sign was the day my mother died. And I told him my mother had just died, and he said, I'll just sign the back page. Highly, highly, highly illegal. So I complained to AFCA, and then I couldn't deal with it, because the bank came back and said, oh, yeah, well, you can pay back over so many. I thought, stuff you up. I did not ask for a balloon payment. And it's one of the things, AFCA is the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. It's one of the specific things that they have on their website, which is a source of complaint. when the bank has ignored your instructions. It's a legal document. Anyway, Kitty and the team went in and they voided the whole lot. And it's just things like that. When your lowest ebb would be about 45 grand so far, that through Kitty and the team, they've saved me. And as I said, if they hadn't been doing that, I just would not have had the confidence or the energy or the, I don't know, there's no way.
Knowledge, as you said.
I couldn't have got this job. I would have just been wiped out, mentally, emotionally, etc. I seriously thought I was going to end up in a caravan with 2 dogs. My sister's saying, "Oh, that never happened to you." I said, but you go through all these terrible, chaotic extremists. And as I said, it's a big dirty secret, and it's one of the kind of last frontiers of psychological health that people really, across the board, people just don't acknowledge. They don't want to talk about it. To me, it's almost like the money is secondary. The financial things are almost secondary to the experience I've had. Maxine, who I deal with, and Kitty, both of them have their own experiences of having been in, and I'm sure they've shared this with you, having been in abusive relationships, and that includes financial abuse along with all the other forms of abuse. And so they speak with genuine empathy and genuine heart. I never felt judged. I think that's the thing that makes a difference. And I don't know what their competitors are like, but I reckon they'd be hard pressed to find a similar type of organisation that is a debt consolidation organisation with the calibre of people that are in working with Kitty. And it has to do with high levels of empathy, genuine concern, no judgment whatsoever. And also because they have their own experiences, they truly get what it's like to be looking down the barrel of poverty, of thinking, this is it, this is how I end up as a homeless person, or this is how I end up on the streets or in a refuge or whatever it might be. So none of that happened until after I'd had a lengthy conversation. I'd had 2 or 3 conversations with Kitty, and I'd had a couple of conversations with Maxine. So there's a lot of trust building up front, a lot of listening to me, and I presume to their other clients, because they know, they're about to ask you to do something that we would never give people access to all our, business accounts, etc. Yeah. So it's quite confronting, and it requires quite a high level of vulnerability from people. So honestly, if it hadn't been for their personalities, their specific personalities, I would have found that very difficult, and their style, I would have found that very difficult. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that I would not have this job if they hadn't helped me out. I don't know. As I said, I don't know where I'd be. I sleep. I wasn't sleeping. I was not eating well. I was drinking too much. All the usual things you do when you're really, really depressed. So my general well-being has improved. My confidence has improved. I feel in control now, and there's no price that you can put on knowing unequivocally that someone's got your back. It's one of the most powerful, and I can't think of any other service I've worked with where that was so important, and it actually created such an extraordinary sense of safety and trust. So that is critical. I honestly felt like these people have really got my back. They're smart, they're trustworthy, they're smart, very genuine, and very caring. Kitty is such an extraordinary entrepreneur, and she's got the heart the size of a head, and she's got really great people around her, smart people like Jack. Nothing moves in the finance world that Jack doesn't seem to know about. And people like Maxine, and they're all she's obvious. I don't know how she recruits people, but she's obviously very careful about the way she brings people in. No one can ever understand another person's world. I've been there, and I have a sense of the depth of despair. And when we're at our worst, it's very hard to trust someone. So that's what I'd say. I've been there, and I have a sense of what it's like. What I would say to you is just have a conversation, because, not only has this saved me shitload of money. It's basically saved my life, meeting Kitty. And, you know, people can say no if they want to, but that's what I'd say. There's all you have to do is have a conversation. You don't need to make any commitments. Just see what's possible, because so many people have no idea. I think that's the difference. If only I'd known that there was the same, I would have stopped worrying sooner.